Hi traders, Elite Currency here. My name is Chris, and today's focus is again on the Forex market, some analysis and potential trade setups for this week. Let's start with the dollar index. Basically, we're seeing price challenge the support zone from the past 2015, 2016, and price stalled a little bit here, made a correction, but is now breaking through that. Let's zoom in. You can see strong bearish candle with a candle close near the low. That looks like a dollar breakout, a dollar weakness breakout. So let's take a look at that on other pairs and see how that can be capitalized. So for instance, on the dollar yen, we saw that price was responding to the support level here by going sideways, making kind of a sideways zone. And last week, price finally broke that zone and seems to be on its way down. So 107.50 is a psychological round level, but once price breaks below that, we have space down to 106, 105, and retest the support level right here of this trend line. So looking at the bigger picture, you can see, of course, that the dollar yen was up with a strong correction, but it seems to be building some kind of triangle pattern, and there seems to be space to the bottom of that triangle pattern at the very least. So looking at the 4-hour chart, what I like to be looking for this week is a retracement, perhaps to the 38. 23.6 fib already got used, but I think maybe a 38 or 50 fib could be a good bouncing spot. You can see that price really tested the support level quite often here, but the fifth time finally breaking. So on the hourly chart, something like this, you can see some momentum to the upside. So an ABC zigzag to the 38.2 fib, for instance, could be a good turning spot, even the 50 fib. But I think that the 38 seems to be ideal. We can put a trend line to connect the tops like this, and you can see that there's another factor, another confluence at the 38.2 fib as well. This is potentially a wave 4, so it could be choppy, it could become a triangle, it could be long. Once there is such a formation or a pattern, a break of that pattern is also an option, and the target of this fib is the minus 272 target at 106.50, and then the minus 61.8 target at 105.35. So either it's a triangle or even a flag still, but in any case, these fibs are resistances as well. The pattern break is good, and I wouldn't expect price to go above the 61.8. Otherwise, the wave 4 analysis is, probably invalidated, or in any case, less likely. All right, euro dollar, same thing basically. I'll keep it a bit shorter with the dollar pairs. Basically, looking for a bull flag, I think, right? So if price makes an upside here, I think that there's a good chance it could still make one more low, or one more dip, I should say, maybe even a lower low, to make a bull flag chart pattern, continuation pattern like this, and the break of that could be good for a move up to the target, the minus 272 target at 121.50. So that looks pretty good. The euro rate decision on Thursday made this break to the upside, or maybe even the statement, of course, as well. So looks like we got bullish momentum back into play. The euro dollar was already an uptrend. You can see that pretty clearly in this chart, right? Strong uptrend. There's no doubt about that. So it's just challenging the top, and it really didn't break that top yet. But considering the uptrend, considering the momentum that we've seen here, if there's a good pattern, I like this euro dollar upside, just as I like the dollar yen downside. So those are pretty good currency pairs, I think, to keep an eye on this week as we start out. But if price, for whatever reason, doesn't do as anticipated and starts to make a bigger correction, then one thing that you can do, or I will do at least, is take this fib off and put a fib from here to here, right? And there could be an ABC zigzag. In that case, these targets could also still be bouncing spots for a turn, all right? Because in that case, there could still be a bigger correction being finished, and somewhere in here, the real uptrend might start. So just to give you a heads up that this might be a zigzag. Now, if it breaks below 119.25, I would be basically cautious, and this might go back into a kind of a range or neutral kind of zone. I don't want to trade either way at that point. But if it stays above 119.25, even makes a bigger correction like this ABC zigzag, I think upside is still good. So basically, bouncing spots right here, or breakout spots if there is a pattern. All right, pound dollar. Let's move on. Now, this went further to the upside than I expected as well. I did expect upside when price broke above this resistance like this. And I was talking about the move up to 130, 131. That happened, which is great. I hope you got some pips on that. Perfect. But it went actually further than that. It went up to 132. So that surprised me a little bit, and that could be changing the dynamic behind the pound dollar, in my opinion. We have to reanalyze and and of course realize that, first of all, the dollar index is in a downtrend, and we see that on the euro dollar and the dollar yen as well. But we also see, even on this chart, on the pound dollar, we do see an uptrend channel, right? So with that factor in mind, this could be a retracement. This could be just a continuation of the uptrend, considering this strong momentum. That is, a decent likelihood. So when we see that price bounce off the 61.8 fib and it's extended all the way beyond those targets with good momentum, this could be a wave 3, this could be a wave 1, 2, and this could be another wave 1, 2, 3. This could be a wave 3 of 3. What does that mean? That means that basically, if we see a bull flag, it could be a good trade to trade. All right, so very simply put. So let me get rid of this fib. I'm looking for bull flags in the pound dollar. Could be maybe even the most interesting one. It's difficult to say which one is the most interesting, but I think that putting a fib probably from here to here could make sense for the moment. And you can see that basically a retracement to the 38, 131, 131.50. If it makes a slow move like this, it will probably go to 131.50. If it's a bit more aggressive retracement, it could make it down deeper to the 131 and bounce at the 38.2 fib, and the target then of that upside is the minus 272 target at 133. Be careful of 132.50. It's a psychological quarter level. Aussie, well, it's the same story. I don't want to bore you all with these dollar trades, but yeah, basically looking for a bit of a pullback to bounce up again, right? So the Aussie did get the break. We're a bit choppy. We were talking about it last week. I was not really that interested. That I had to break quickly, otherwise I was not interested. Had to break last week. Well, it did break last week, and it made a higher high. So this could be a pullback and continuation. Looking for that potential at these fibs, basically, quickly, and there could be a correction. These are targets of this small swing, but ultimately, basically, it could still make some pattern here and then break to the upside as well. Same thing as the other pairs, basically. Moving on to the kiwi. Kiwi had a bounce as expected here, and then had a bounce here. We talked about those in the last video, but then had a breakout right here. So that break, again, leading itself to more of a bounce scenario, and it's a bit choppier, I would say, the kiwi. It was in the downtrend channel. It did break this channel. So ultimately, I think that this is still more of a support zone and could bounce. But I'll be looking for some candlestick patterns, maybe even a 4-hour chart, really. 4-hour candle engulfing twin like this, just to confirm that price is really respecting those levels. Otherwise, it might sink further before bouncing. So, same story, looking for candlestick patterns to confirm the Aussie and the kiwi upside. Let's move on. Dollar CAD, last dollar, because I know this is really stretching it, but did make the downside. We talked about that here. I took the trade myself here, made a good downside. Of course, the news event obviously helped CAD fuel the dollar CAD downside here, but I think that considering the strength that we're seeing of the dollar CAD downside, if we just look at the weekly chart, right, put a fib from this to this swing, top to bottom, you see a 61.8 fib. The first target, well, that's the minus 272 target, 118.50. 120, yes, important psychological round level. We're not there yet. So considering the 4-hour strength, which is showing no divergence at all, I think we can move on to the hourly chart and say, okay, let's put a fib from here to here, something like that, right? And looking for retracements, right? 38, 50, something like that, looking for break of that pattern for downside. Same like the dollar on the Aussie and the kiwi. All right, so just keep in mind that I think this is a pullback and waiting for confirmations for a turn or breakout to the downside. Pretty straightforward, I think, for these dollar pairs. But let's see if it happens. You never know. The market is always flexible. Our task as a trader is not to predict. It is to react to what price is showing, to find basically analysis, find a bias that that suits you, and then see if price action is confirming that bias. And if it isn't, then stay out, right? So euro yen, pound yen, triangles. I see triangles. I see indecisiveness, indecision. It's got to break out one way or another. If it does break to the downside, right, that's a good zone down to the long-term moving average to about 125. If it does break to the upside, the zone is a bit limited because there's a resistance trend line right there. So there's a small space there. Let's zoom into the 4 hour, as you can see here. So it would have to be on the hourly chart. It would have to probably like break, make a small pullback, and there's a small trade right there. But then there's a new test zone up at 132.50 probably. If it does bounce here, and it seems to be bouncing, I would wait probably for the open, see how price responds to that first. But it could be a bouncing spot back to this top as well. So triangle is continuing potentially, or if it breaks below this, it could of course be, sorry, if it breaks below this, it could be a break, pullback, continue for a pretty substantial move there. Pound yen, same thing. Basically, the upside is a bit more, looks a bit better to me. All right, because in that case, if it does break to the upside, we could have a move to the minus 272 target at 144. Downside, it could go down to the 61, 78.6 fib. So breakouts seem to be equal in size. We can take a quick look at the euro pound, by the way, daily chart, and you can see that it is an uptrend, right? But it is retracing as well. So looks like a bull flag at this moment, bull flag close to a bouncing spot at 23.6 fib. Could be that this euro and pound, if this is a wave 4, will remain in balance for a while, because a wave 4 is typically choppy, means that price is bouncing back and up and down. So there might be not a very clear winner between the euro and pound for a while. If this is a wave 4, seems to be so. All right, let's, last but not least, just a few of these crosses. Euro New Zealand struggling here. That's because of the minus 272 target. It bounced off the 61.8, as you can see, reaching the first target. So that is a substantial level, and we would need a break above the minus 272 target for the next move to the minus 61.8. So I'm waiting for that. A good daily candle, right? With a close above that 272 target, with a close in the high. That would signal breakout to the upside. Look for a bit of retracement perhaps on the lower time frame, and up it should go, in my view. Now, if it doesn't, I'll be still cautious, because it could make a bigger correction, some kind of bull flag before it breaks to the upside. All right, but all in all, it looks bullish. Just looking for confirmation. Euro, same thing, I think. Ultimately, it's a bit choppy though, but it is kind of keeping its head up still. On the daily chart, moving averages are aligned to the upside. 4 hour chart looks to be in a triangle, would wait for a break to the upside. So looking for a break, pullback, continue on the euro odd. Pound odd, by the way, had a substantial upside candle on Friday, and is still within this sideways zone. Didn't break the support level. I was looking for a downside break, but could be close to an upside break. With Friday's bullish candle, I think that one more daily candle close above Friday's high, and Friday's high is at, well, just a rough indication, is around 164-ish. All right, just I don't have a precise level, but because it doesn't show, it's showing me the 21 EMA, but it doesn't matter. So a break above that with a daily candle close like this, I think could indicate that this space, right, this space right here, is up for grabs. So it could be like a retracement up to the long-term moving average. The long-term moving average is around 166.75. So that could be an interesting space for the pound odd as well to the upside. Alright, that was it for today. Of course, find out more information at elitecurrency.com. More analysis, more free material, more indicators, all there. And if you like this video, please share, like, subscribe. Wish you all great trading. Talk to you soon. Cheers.